Hello everyone, beautiful people, welcome back to the channel. Today, easy sewing with Tyke. Today I'll be showing you step by step how to cut and sew an overlapped keyhole neckline bustier top. So to all returning subscribers, thank you for doing this with me, for supporting my channel. I appreciate you all. And if today is your first time of joining us, you are welcome as well. You will love it here. Kindly subscribe and put on the notification bell. Thank you. Now let's get started. So the yoke and the bustier area of the front bodice will be drafted separately. We'll be starting with the bustier area. This line is just the starting point. So the next thing to do now is to impute on my vertical measurement. Leaving 5 inches upwards, going up by 5 inches. So the 5 inches would be on the starting point. Remember I said we are still drafting the yoke separately. So just come up by 5 inches. So the first vertical measurement we are putting is the chest line. The chest line for the person this is being made for is 8.5, which is the armhole line. The bust point is 10.5. The under bust is 13.5, and the waistline is 17. So this is the chest line, this is the bust point, this is the under bust, and this is the waistline. So this side would be on fold. It is actually the center front and it will be on fold. So what I want to do now is to impute the bust span. The bust span measurement is 7 inches. 7 divided by 2 is 3.5. So I'll go ahead and put that 3.5 from the bust point all the way to the waistline. I'll go ahead and do that and then connect the lines. After which I will take in ½ inch from the under bust all the way to the waistline. From the side that is closer to the center front, I'll connect it that way. Then I'll go ahead and take away 1½ inch from the side that is close to the side front, and I will also connect it. After which the dart leg will be connected to the bust point like this. Once this is done, you come out from the starting point by 5 inch. By 5 inch, you are trying to achieve a princess dart bustier cut. Then you connect it to the bust point like this. Then you go ahead and take out 1 inch on both sides. Go ahead and take out 1 inch to ensure proper tightening, to ensure that it will not gape and give way. Then you connect it to the bust point line like that. After which you will use your free hand or your armhole curve to curve the lines, like this. The next thing you want to do now is to put in, on this start point, just put in your shoulder measurement, So the shoulder measurement we are working with is 16 divided by 2. Of course, because this unfold once again is 8. So you want to measure 8 inches, but you cannot just go ahead and measure 8 inches that way, because all this is our dart line. All of this will be cut out. So you have to factor this in. So this is 2 inches here. Here is 4 inches. So you can go about this 2 ways. It's either you measure your 4 inches here and continue at the other end to measure out your 8 inches. Or you just add the 2 inches here to your 8 inches, which is 8 plus 2, that is 10. And you'll have the same thing here. But you want to come in by ½ inch. Here. Since this is sleeveless, you want to come in by ½ inch. It is actually sleeveless. The next thing to do now is to put in your bust measurement. So the bust we're working with is 36, like I said earlier. 36 divided by 4 is actually 9. So 9 plus 1 inch here. 9 plus 1 inch here is 10. Or to be more accurate, just measure it this way. Here we have 3.5. Starting your 3.5 from here, we have 9. You can see I still arrived at the same thing. So once that is done, the waist measurement that we are working with is 32. We have the difference of 2 inches here. 32, that will be 8 inches. 8 plus 2 is 10. Or you can go ahead and do it this way. This is stopping at 3 here. Move the 3 to this place, and we will have your 8 this way. What you want to do now is just connect it like this. Now it's time to add the side seam allowance. I'll be adding the side seam allowance of just 2 inches, because when I'm cutting on fabric, I will add allowance to join the dart. But if you are cutting yours directly on your fabric, then you want to add an allowance of 3.5 inch So I'll measure 2 inches all the way and connect it. The next thing to do now is to connect the lines this way to make the armhole curve. So after plotting the armhole curve, the next thing to do is to take in the bust dart because of the difference between the front half length and the back half length due to the bust bulge. I explained this in details in my video on how to take proper body measurements and how to draft a basic bodice, so you may want to check that out. So the difference between the front half length and the back half length of the person whose measurement is being used is 1.5. So from the bust point, I will come down by 1.5 inches and connect it to the bust span line or the dart line, just like I'm doing right now. Now it is time to cut. Now it's time to take in the bust dart. So you just want to fold in the bust dart line that was created like this. Fold it, then bring it up to match up with the bust point line. Just bring it up to match up with that bust point line and use the sellotape to tape it down. And that is it. So before proceeding to the yoke, let's draft the neckline. So the neckline can be straight, it can be straightened, it can be U-shaped. It depends on your preference. But for the purpose of today's tutorial, it will be U-shaped. So I'll just be coming down by 2 inches. Remember that we've came down by 5 inches before drafting this. So it means the total depth of this neckline will be 7 inches. So you want to factor that in. After which you connect it like this. And now we are done with the front part. So let's go to the yoke now. So here is my starting point, and here is the center front unfold. So because we are making an overlapped yoke today, we'll measure out 10 inches. That will just be 1.5 inches past the armhole line. So we'll measure out 10 inches and connect it. So now it's time to put in the shoulder measurement. Shoulder measurement is 16 divided by 2, that is 8. Okay, factor in the armhole line also, so we can draft a proper armhole. Here is another reason why I prefer this overlap yoke. This overlap yoke is better because here you'll be able to draw out your armhole correctly, so that even if there's any mistake on this, probably you did not add enough allowance and all of that, you can still rectify it because the yoke armhole would be correctly drafted. So that's another reason why I prefer this overlap yoke, especially if you are just starting out as beginners. This is actually better. You are sure that your armhole will be perfectly drafted and your sleeve will fit in properly. So I have a video on how to draft a perfect and accurate basic sleeve. You can check that out. I'll put the link in the description button. So now that we have this, remember we're drafting the front armhole. We want to go up by 2 inches here and come in by ½ inch. So I explained this in detail in my video on how to draft a basic bodice. So you might want to check that out. Come down by 1 inch. So what you want to do is to connect the lines this way, after which you put in the bust measurement plus the side allowance on the chest line and on the overlap line, and connect all the lines together like this. So now it's time to draft the upper part neckline. I'll be using 4 inches by 3.5. I'll go ahead and connect that. Then I'll also connect it to the shoulder slant. I'll connect it to the shoulder slant. Since this yoke would be sleeveless, I'll go ahead and come in by ½ inch. I'll go ahead and come in by ½ inch and connect it this way. Please, if you will be adding sleeve to your yoke, do not do this step. Do not do this. Now the next thing to do now is just to mark out the 5 inches line that we came up with when drafting the bustier part. Just draw your curve from that center front to the overlap line. And voila, we are done with the yoke. I'll go ahead and cut it out now. Then transfer the patterns onto the fabric. So I'm making use of the plain fabric for the yoke and the Ankara fabric for the bustier area. So remember to put your fabric on fold for this center pattern, and I've already added 1 inch hem allowance because on the pattern I did not cut it out at the waistline, if you'd remember. So that has been sorted. Now you just add ½ inch all the way. So once you are done cutting, remember to notch the under bust line and the bust line to make the joining easier. So just like the center front was notched at the under bust and at the bust point, do the same for the side front also. Now it's time to cut out the yoke. So for this as well, we'll be adding ½ inch to this side and to the shoulder line for joining. We'll be adding ½ inch also. So I'm done cutting out the yoke also. I'll go ahead and cut out the lining directly like this. I'll use this main fabric to cut out the lining. So I've gone ahead to cut out the lining also. Now it is time to join. So I will not be padding this outfit. It will not be padded. But if you want to pad yours, you just go ahead and cut out your wadding or you add your ready-made cups. So you want to start joining from the hem, making sure that the notch part match up, the under bust notch, the bust point notch all the way up like that. I would, after joining the main fabric, I'll do the same for the lining. Then I'll go ahead and turn the yoke with lining also. I will sew the neckline, I will sew the lower part and the armhole. Then I'll show you what I have. So I'm done joining it and I've ironed it this way. So if you are padding it also, this is how you want to iron it. Make sure you open the seam this way and it is flat like this. You can use your tailor arm for this curved part. You can see how beautiful it is and how curvy it is. Now imagine if I had padded it or if I'm just going to add a black up to this. So I have gone ahead to join the lining the same way. The next thing to do now is to turn the fabric with the lining. Now if you notice that there is a little excess on the side front after joining, then it's actually fine. Just trim it off this way. But if you notice that the excess is coming from the center front, then you might want to check your pattern. But if it's from the side front, then it's fine. So I've gone ahead to sew the yoke lining to the yoke fabric. The next thing to do now is to notch all the sewed parts all the way, notch it properly before turning it out, then iron it so that it can lay flat. So we are almost done. I'm gonna ahead to turn this out and iron it like I said I would. I'm gonna ahead to attach the lining to this. I placed the front side facing each other. I sewed it, then I flipped it over. That way I now have the wrong side facing each other, and I also top stitched it. I top stitched it on the lining only, like this, on the lining only, to have this, so that I will be sure that the lining will not pop up. The lining will not be showing up here. Then I went ahead to just close it on this side. The next thing to do now is to attach it. So what you want to do is locate the midpoint here. Also locate the midpoint here. I've actually chalked it out. Hopefully you can see. And just place it. Now you might be saying that why do we have this? Okay. So the reason for this is that, remember that when we placed it on the pattern like this here, we still add excess. We add excess. So the thing is that before cutting on your fabric, make sure to place your pattern on it this way properly, the way you would want it to be, and trim this off. Trim this off. That way you will not have this. You will not have this on the fabric, but it's still fine. I'll just go ahead and trim this. I'll just go ahead and cut this, then sew it in to have a neat look. And if you don't want this overlap to be this wide, of course, I came down by 1½ inch. You can reduce yours to 1 inch or ½ inch. That way you just have it little like this. So the only thing that is left to do, once I'm done cutting this out and I sewed it in neatly, I'll just go ahead and stop stitch up to, you can stop stitch up to this point or all the way to this point. It's actually fine. Just go ahead and top stitch neatly on both sides, and voila, that's all. The dress is ready. So to cut the back, you can check out my video on how to draft a basic bodice, an upscale basic bodice. But that is all for today. Thank you for staying till the end. I'll just go ahead and do this. So before top stitching this, I will remove it this way and I would sew it in. I would sew it in like this to have a neat look. So I'll do all of that, and that is the end of today's tutorial. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you'll be trying yours out also. Please give this video a thumbs up if you like it. Leave a comment for me. Let me know if you're trying yours. Let me know if you learned something new. Let me know if you enjoyed this video. Okay, please share this video with others. Also share it with as many people as possible, and don't forget to put on the post notification bell to get notified anytime I post a new video. Thank you so much. Till I come your way in my next video. Take care. Bye.